Hey. I want to thank you guys for coming to this. It's kind of an auspicious day. No King's Day. I'll say a little more about that afterwards when we do the Q&A. Bobby De Niro, whom I've never met, so Robert De Niro, founded this wonderful festival, and at the Cannes Film Festival, he was very concerned about the arts being under attack. I agree with that, and I will talk a little more about that later, but man, you guys showing up like this, the arts are well with the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yeah!
So, When You're Strange. Tom DiCillo directed, and we had this footage of Jim. He did a short film called Highway, and he was a character in it, the hitchhiker. And Tom had this brilliant idea of dropping that footage, sprinkling it throughout the film, no explanation, and it's kind of metaphoric for Jim being kind of guiding us through the film like a hitchhiker. So we screened it at the Sundance Film Festival, and a critic in the first few minutes ran out, and Tom chased him and said, "What's the problem?" And he said, "You casted an actor playing Jim." Well, in fact, the guy you're going to see with the beard is Jim. Hello? So, what pleases me about this film, it brings in the 60s and the times we were living when we wrote these songs. Oliver Stone's movie was great. Val Kilmer should have been nominated. But that was mainly about, give it R.I.P. Val. That was mainly about a tortured artist. This brings in the time period. So the two of them together are great bookends for the whole career. I haven't seen this in years. I'm going to watch it with you, and I'll see you a little later. Enjoy.
Hey folks, long way from the back row. One more time.
You know, if you're my age, don't you have to go to the bathroom?
One more time before we start. John Densmore.
Is that an acid flashback?
Well, let's start. I know there's.
How did I survive that? Sorry.
No, I know there's a lot of stuff we want to get through, but I feel like we got to start. You said you haven't watched this film for a while. Just what do you feel right? What's the emotion of sitting and taking that in?
I brought a drum in case my words failed me. Oh God. I mean, there's so many. Our country is very polarized now, and wow, that struck me, and I just love. Here's Jim in the car, turning on the radio, finding out he's dead. Great. And Jim Ladd, the announcer, has passed.
Just passed recently.
I'm 80, and no disrespect to my bandmates who I love dearly, the great late Ray Van Zerek and Jim. I like being another example. There's there's different roads of how to do this living, and so I mean, like there was AA during that period, but substance abuse clinics were not cool. You know what I mean? They didn't have Eminem and Clapton being clean and sober. And people ask me, or used to ask me, if Jim was alive now, would he, clean up his act? And I used to say, no, he's a kamikaze drunk. I've changed that answer. He was smart. It's a different time. And yeah. So what was your question, Alan?
Well, so for question, and I should say, by the way, we're going to talk for a little bit and then we are going to take questions from you guys. But you insisted, as I understand, we only want brilliant questions from the audience, right? That's the rule, so make sure you give it some thought. But no, we should, the film obviously makes a lot of the context in which the music was made, and the turmoil and the war and everything that was happening at the time. And we have to say, 3 blocks from here right now, people are marching down Fifth Avenue in protest today.
Okay.
Talk some about about that, what it was to be creating in the middle of that chaos and where we are.
Hold it, Alan. I got to get on the soapbox.
All right, stand back.
In the 60s, there were anti-war posters that depicted President Reagan, I think, and Westmoreland, the head of all the armed forces, with missiles coming out of their crotch. There were, oh God. I was going to say that there wasn't riots recently in LA. There was a bunch of peaceful protests, and there was a few assholes who threw bricks and make it look like the whole thing is a riot. We didn't need fucking troops. I'm getting a little more. I think what wasn't passed down enough was, in fact, as hard as it was, the people stopped the Vietnam War. And I'm thinking about Václav Havel, a wonderful playwright who was put in jail in Czechoslovakia because his plays were too liberal. While he was in jail, he listened to the music of your native son, Lou Reed's Velvet Underground, to help him. And then the Russians came in, and 350,000 Czechoslovakians went out on the streets every night for 2 weeks. The Russians threw up their hands and left. Václav became president, and there was no violence, not a bullet fired. And it was coined the Velvet Revolution. Oh, God. I mean, I am going to sound like a corny old hippie, but Ringo got it right. Peace and love. Damn it. I mean, there was a couple politicians shot this morning in Minneapolis, politically motivated. Can we come together somehow across the aisle and really embrace nonviolence?
And do you look back, do you feel that, that the music really did drive that? You said that, it's the people that ended the war. Did the music have that impact? Do you look out in the world today and think that there's the chance to do that again, or are we in a different place?
The drumming did it, Alan.
The drums speak across continents and generations, man.
Next Next question.
All right. So we're here. It is the 60th anniversary of this band. It is 60 years. Obviously, in the moment.
When I was a kid, thinking of someone who's 60 years old, I thought, well, they'll be dead real soon. But now I know that, you look at the Stones running around in their 80s like me, and Ringo was at Radio City, 85 last night. So death is the new 80, so I got 20 years.
In the moment, you're not thinking, what's this going to be 60 years from now? I'm not thinking, what's this going to be 60 days from now? But the Doors were attuned to literature, to cinema, to jazz, to world music, to different things that did have a life beyond sort of what pop music did. I mean, were you thinking, maybe not with years attached, but that this was a thing that would really make an impact?
I was hoping I could pay the rent for 10 years, and I'm doing pretty good. All right, I'm gonna even jump another ridiculous. I brought up money. When the boss, by the way, Bono was recently asked, what about this Trump-Springsteen conflict? Which side are you? What do you think? And Bono said, there's only one boss. So I'm thinking about how Bruce picked up, it's hard to say, 500 million or something, and Dylan, and I don't want to be judgmental, and maybe I'm jealous. What's going on here, John? And then I started thinking, oh, wait a minute. If money is not evil, it's an energy to be used, good or evil or whatever. And maybe it's better that artists have a ton of money like that than corporations, and hopefully they'll use it that way. Anyway, I went off. Hi, Alan.
So go back. We go back to the beginnings of the band here. That shows you being brought in by Ray to go and meet Jim and sort of start putting this thing together. Did you have immediately that sense that Morrison was a force to be reckoned with? Was that apparent from minute one, or was that something that kind of emerged?
That's good. I knew he was a force to be reckoned with. I thought he couldn't sing. He was really shy, not the next Mick Jagger. Then Ray hands me a crumpled piece of paper that Jim scribbled down. Day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Tried to run, tried to hide, break on through. Fuck, I want to drum to this. This is really good. I knew he was a poet right away, and I thought, wow, poetry and rock and roll, I'm down.
Well, bring up Break On Through, because I was going to ask that. Maybe somebody has another example, but to me, I can't think of another first song, first album that defines a band the way that Break On Through defined the Doors. Not like you could have stopped there and that would have been the end of it, but if you stopped there, it still would have left a really powerful statement into the world. And it feels like there was a clarity from the beginning of a mission for this band, a purpose for this band. Did it feel like that crystallized, as quick as that? No.
We're just doing the stuff. It's for you guys to say how great it is. I don't know, next question.
The other timely thing this week that I wanted to ask, and I know you posted, we lost Sly Stone and we lost Brian Wilson this week.
Yeah.
Representing, among all the brilliant things that they represented, but also representing these very different visions of California. And the Doors as a really, central vision of a piece of California. What did those losses bring out of you, and
Yeah.
how do you think of those things in relation?
That's good. I think Brian Wilson wrote the line, "New York's a lonely town when you're the only surfer boy around." We were kind of the dark underbelly of the undeclared Vietnam War, you know. We certainly weren't a surf band. Sly Stone was so ahead. Oh man, wait, I have to have a drink of water. Woke up this morning, got myself a drink of water. Oh, what a beautiful guy. Sly wanted white people in the band, black people, a woman, and they're all everyday people. Oh, beautiful. The guy is ahead of the curve. Yeah. You know, so I get pissed off when the 60s are dissed as failing. The seeds of civil rights, peace movement, feminism were all planted in the 60s. They're big seeds. Maybe they take 100 years for full fruition. So stop dissing and get out your watering can.
You, when this film came out, however many years ago, had you seen all that footage? Had you seen the footage from the Singer Bowl riot and from those shows? Was that all stuff that was, was familiar, or was it a new thing to be able to watch and witness that?
It's all very familiar, but seeing it now, many years later, I mean, this was 15 years ago it was made. God, there's so many things going on that are strikingly similar. Whew. Oh, boy.
Similar to where we are now, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does your relationship to it change over time? Do you look at it in different ways when you go back and see that stuff?
Yeah, I'm Jim's lyrics are still like, whoa. I'm gonna give a demo. Hang on. Oh, how can I hold a mic and drum?
I'll hold a mic. I'll hold a mic. I can be a mic stand. I've been worse.
I sat in with Robbie at the Whiskey a month ago, and it was really cool. And I played Riders on the Storm. And he was doing each album every month, and in order of the songs. So I had to do Texas Radio and the Big Beat, the Wasp. Holy shit. The most complicated, I don't know, instead of playing a regular, I played the melody. Anyway, I told the audience, I've never played this live, wish me luck. And then I'm looking at these words. No eternal reward will forgive us now for wasting the dawn. Oh, that is some deep shit. I mean, metaphorically, that's kind of like the earth is saying, you don't pave over every square inch. She has to breathe. So I'm just astounded by Jim's the depth of his words. You can sit down.
Well, you need the mic.
Well,
it comes up in here, and I've just got the one drumming question I've always had to ask is, as I said, there's no bass player most of the time in this band. And as they said, you came out of a Coltrane thing and all that. You're an Elvin Jones guy, but those bands, he was able to do that because there was a bass player there like Jimmy Garrison holding a beat that you could play around, right? For you, what was it to, sign up for and then figure out how to play with that sort of a lineup? Another band of this scale didn't have a bass player.
I had to work harder to hold the pulse down, but it was kind of more open, so I was freer to have a conversation with Jim. The first job of a drummer is to keep the beat. And then I noticed Elvin Jones playing polyrhythms to Coltrane. You got to have the internal heartbeat, but you can improvise if you feel that pulse. It's okay. What was the first drum beat all of you heard ever? In your womb, in your mom's womb, the mother's heartbeat. Bingo. And that's it. And so Thelonious Monk had a list of 10 tips for musicians. The first one was have a good sense of time, especially if you're not the drummer. Brilliant. Because if you're wailing away on your guitar but you don't have an internal pulse, nobody cares. Because having that is the ultimate homeland security. You're back in the womb. We all are made to dance or cry when we feel that. If it's a ballad, it's slow, but it's consistent, or a salsa or whatever. What was the question?
The question was drumming without a bass player. All that works.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, for example, we're playing When the Music's Over, and Jim has this section. What have they done to the earth? What have they done to our fair sister? Stuck her with knives in the side of the dawn, tied her with fences, and dragged her down. I hear a very gentle sound, with your ear down to the ground. We want the world, we want it now. Yeah. I had this impulse to just go, what have they done to the earth? What have they done to our fair sister? I just stopped the beat and had a conversation with Jim. I think I got that from jazz, and then I went back to the groove, and I miss those guys.
So one last thing from me, and then we'll go to you guys, and maybe too big a question, but there's been so much. There's these films, there's the new book that you guys have put together. You wrote a great book about the band.
Alan, I have not one but 3 self-centered memoirs.
What, for a band that has been chronicled this way, what do people still not get? What do people still not understand about the Doors and about what this band was?
I don't know. We're all in this together. What did Jim say? Wonderful writing by DiCillo. At the end there, he's on the sailboat, and he's saying he's either a fool or a poet. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for words, but these are goat hoofs given to me by an Ecuadorian musician. They put it on their foot and they use it that way, but it sounds like water, right? Into this house we're born, like a dog without a bone, act around alone. Let's swim to the moon, let's climb through the tide, penetrate the evening that the city sleeps to hide. a psychedelic love song. I don't know, just although drugs, you got to watch out there. Around the peyote button is strychnine. You have to pick it all off. It seems that knowledge is near danger, but inside is the answer. That's why we went to meditation, you know. And if we can all go inside and pry open our hearts a little more, then maybe we can reach across the aisle. Okay.
There it is. All right. With the time we got left, questions from you guys? Do we have a mic, or I'm just making you yell and then I'll repeat? That's fine if that's what we got to do. That hand went straight up, so we're going to go right there.
Hi, John.
Hey.
I'm Addie.
Hey, Addie.
No, there's no mic. Okay, first of all, the Doors and Jim's poetry and lyrics inspired me to write, which was something I never thought I would do, like, a year ago. And the music is more prevalent than ever. So what I want to know is, what do you know now that you wish you knew when the Doors were starting out?
Okay.
People heard that enough, or I need to repeat?
The music has inspired her.
So the question was that the Doors have inspired you to begin writing, and what, for somebody who's starting that journey, what do you know now that you wish you knew then?
My third self-centered memoir is called, is called The Seekers, Meetings with Remarkable Musicians, and each chapter is about somebody who fed me. And the main through line through that book is that if you do something creative, and it's especially helpful in tumultuous times to get centered, to go inside, you're in the same zone as people who've been very successful. And even if you're in a closet playing the piano and nobody hears it, you're feeding your soul. And that's what we need so bad these days. And then if the individual souls all kind of get deeper, then it has an expression in the collective, and things change. Whoa.
Whoa.